Hello, welcome back. I'm Tonya from Tonya's Witchy Kitchen, and how are you doing today? I'm actually doing pretty good. Pretty good. Spent the day with some family, lots of family, which is always a great thing, right? And the night before was spent with some other family, so it's been a family weekend. Today I spent proving to my sons that we actually had a pear tree on our land. And my oldest son, they were both convinced that we didn't have one because they had never seen it. And I'm like, well, it's like Wi-Fi. You don't see it, but it's still there, right? And I mean, this thing is something my grandpa had showed me when I was a kid, right? And they were just small pears. They were always hard. You know, you couldn't really eat them. But it was a pear tree, and I was just fascinated with it. And I haven't been down to look lately, but my older brother told me, he's like, yeah, we were there, last year, and, there were pears. And my sons were just convinced that there was no such thing as a pear tree on our land. But so we went trudging through the trees, and I'm like, it's just, it's childhood memories, right? And we got there, and my son's like, oh my gosh. He's like, this must be the first year. And I'm like, sweetheart, this thing is like double what it was when I was a kid. No, it's always been here. But the pears were actually ripe. They're actually overripe. Like, I've never been able to eat a pear off that tree that was green or yellow or like light green and ripe and good. So I was super excited, and it kind of brought back childhood memories of running through the trees as kids and eating a potato out of the garden or weird things like that, right? But another childhood memory is our choke cherry jelly. Love our choke cherry jelly. Now, I don't like pectin, so everybody calls it a syrup. It's not a syrup just because it's a thicker but not super thick, right? Consistency, it's jelly to me. We've always called it jelly. We put it on thin pancakes. We put it in our oatmeal. We put it in, I put it in kombucha just this last week. But here's the thing. All you hear on the internet is elderberry, 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 elderberry syrup. We don't have elderberries here. We don't. I'm sure they grow in North Dakota, but we don't. We have choke cherries. And after doing some research and comparing things, I just believe that you can make the same type of thing out of choke cherries that you do out of elderberry. You can make choke cherry medicinal syrup. So just a few tips on choke cherries, but that is what we're doing. We're making an elixir out of choke cherries for healthy benefits. So we're going to do some note taking. 3 things: dream big, be true to you, you are worth it. And let's go check out the note taking. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to my kitchen because it's been super busy, and I just gotta, it's super short. Choke cherries are the official state fruit of North Dakota. I did not know that, but it makes perfect sense because they grow rampant like weeds. They are actually part of the rose family, where the elderberries are part of the honeysuckle family. And one thing with elderberries, be very careful where you buy them. Buy it from a reputable company because some species are poisonous. Not the choke cherries, the elderberries. So Etsy, I don't know. I'd be almost leery to buy it off of Etsy. Frontier Co-op has some great ones. Mountain Rose Herbs sells, they're reputable. They know what they are picking, what they are producing, what they are selling. Okay. But in choke cherries, the seeds are toxic, like most apple seeds and all that stuff, because they contain cyanide. You'd really have to eat a lot to actually have a problem with them. And they're hard. Like, who the heck eats choke cherry seeds? They're dark red, and you pick them when they're black, pretty much. Somebody said there's some species that have white fruit, but I have never seen these, and I decided not to research those because we don't have those. They If you dry them, which I've never tried, if you dry them, they do lose their bitterness. So boiling or drying neutralizes the prussic acid in the pit. Okay, which is why we boil them first. They contain vitamin C, immune booster, A and E, beta carotene, folate, potassium, iron, and manganese. They are high in quinic acid. This was interesting. Quinic acid actually prevents urinary tract infections, kind of like your cranberry juice, but this is 5 to 10 times higher than cranberries. It also finding that it might have more to do with circulation, builds stronger blood vessels, helps with heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes. Bonus! High in antioxidants, flavonoids, polyphenols, and this anthocyanins and proanthocyanins. I'll put the word up there, which helps fight allergies, viruses, and cancer-causing elements. Yeah. That's all for my notes on choke cherries. That was very short and sweet. I'm sorry. But some people do believe that they actually have more medicinal benefit than the elderberries. But to me, I know they do come from 2 different families, like I said. Yes. So anyway, we went choke cherry picking, and it was so much fun. So much fun. But my daughter always overpicks because she just loves to pick choke cherries. I think I mentioned that. Oh, one little thing I am going to say is I know a lot of people juice, they run it through a juicer, right? And they feel like that's quicker and faster. And I am more the traditional, put it in the little strainer and the jelly thing and you go around and around and around because I like pulp. I feel you lose a lot of the pulp when you do the strained, when you run it through the juicer. Just my opinion, you guys, just my opinion. But I've seen some, and I don't use pectin. I just can't stand you're going to say there's no taste. I notice a taste in jellies if I use pectin. I made a sunflower petal jelly a few years ago, and very nice, mild, but there's this weird quality to it. And I noticed it with my brother-in-law's beet jelly. There's this weird quality to it on jellies that use pectin to me. And I guess my brother told me that my grandma was the same way. So I don't use pectin. I boil it to a certain point, like to reduce the liquid in there, and that's how I make my jelly, my choke cherry jelly. You can call it syrup. I really don't care. To me, it's choke cherry jelly from my childhood. But anyway, that is it for today, except to go in the kitchen and check out this video on the Cherry-Astragalus Elixir. Choke cherry jelly was a staple growing up. We put it on our toast. We put it on in our oatmeal. We always had choke cherry jelly around. And picking them is my daughter's favorite thing to do. She could probably pick a whole tree. But so these are the berries we picked. And what you want to do before you do anything is wash them. If you have dried berries, you can pick the stems out because sometimes they miss the stems. But I usually pick if they're really shriveled, and I always pick the stems out. I just keep scooping up the ones that are clean and destemmed and just put them in a bowl. The second part of this process is putting them in a pot with a little bit of water, maybe halfway up, and boiling them for about 15 minutes to 30 minutes, depends how long it takes. But they do change color, as you can see here. The cooked berries have more juice too. Do you remember this thing? Did you have one of these? My grandma did. And this is my grandma's, and it is so much fun. I don't like the kettle ones. You basically just run it around and squish all the juice out. And I am a pulp lover, and so we will go around until it is just the seeds and the skin of the berry. Now for the choke Cherry-Astragalus Elixir, we need a total of 2 cups liquid squished from the berries, and you can take 1 cup liquid from the cooked pot, the juice itself. And to this, we are adding 16 grams of astragalus root. As you can see there, a couple tablespoons. And 10 grams of ginger, dried. Is about 1 good sized heaping tablespoon. And we need 4 to 5 grams of cloves, which is probably a good teaspoon. I don't know, guys. And 2 cinnamon sticks. I can't do anything without cinnamon lately. So 2 cinnamon sticks, and I do chop them, not finely, but just in chunks. Next, you're going to put them on the pot on low to simmer for about half an hour. Okay? Simmer, low simmer. And then we're going to let it cool for about 10 minutes, just sitting there and steeping all the goodness in with the lid on, guys. And then we're going to strain it. Okay? We need to strain out. The only part I don't like about this is I don't like straining the pulp out. So I do a pretty thick strain, you know what I'm saying? So that I don't lose so much pulp in the straining. You know, that's the thing. So I do squish it, you know, like you do. Squish, squish. So I'm going to have about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of the cherry juice. And to that, we are adding a cup of honey. Okay, a whole cup of honey to equal approximately, okay, so that's not quite right, but it was close to 3 cups of liquid. And to that, I am adding 1/4 cup of black velvet. You can add apple cider vinegar instead. If you don't want to add either one of those, boil it for another 10 minutes and keep it in the fridge. And there you have it, our choke cherry astragalus elixir. I'm actually freezing the other 2 jars that are just the juice for making later on this winter. But there you have it. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for dropping by. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.